you look at the number of players they added this haul, it really is a big number. I mean, technically,
what is the number?
So technically there's 27 true letter of intents, but then there are 4 walk-on type players that didn't sign letter of intents but are 3-star rated players. So really 31. Then you have 6 transfers. So if you really want to get down to it, they've added 37 scholarship quality players here in this 2024 cycle.
And 17 on hand for spring ball, basically.
17 high school, counting one of the walk-ons that they added, and then 6 transfers. So 23 players.
We've noted that, and we've expressed how unique that is. It is shocking. Now, I guess that's maybe somewhat kind of new age college football, but we covered many years at Nebraska where there might be 3 or 4 newcomers in spring ball, that enroll early, enroll in January, and now there's 23.
Yeah, about 60%. I mean, 22 scholarship newcomers here of 37 kind of scholarship quality players. So about 60% of the 3-star to 4-star, 5-star players are here now, which it's an incredible number. And you're already kind of starting to hear Matt Rule discuss the impact a few of these guys have had, particularly wide receiver Jamal Banks.
Right. Jamal Banks is one of the guys that you will never worry about showing up for instance, an early passing workout. He's done very well in winter conditioning with the conditioning element, but also, Sean, they ask guys to do public service type things and other things that they score. They have a point system. And Banks, according to Matt Rule, came in and is leading the point system by a long ways. Banks is all in.
He's driven.
Yeah, Banks. And this is a guy that had 60-plus catches in each of the last 2 years. There he is right there. He's a proven player at the Power 5 level in the ACC. So that was really illuminating. It was really illuminating. I know it got your attention when Rule was talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, and I think what's also interesting to me is it could be the 4th year in a row that a transfer portal wide receiver has led Nebraska in receiving. Samori Torre, Trey Palmer, Billy Kemp, and now probably Jamal Banks, but Isaiah Nayor could also be right up there as well from Texas.
Yep.
So
yep.
They've had to rebound hard in the portal to kind of make up for some misses at the wide receiver position over the Scott Frost era.
They have, and it's going to look much different. That group that runs out there is going to be a bigger bodied group. I mean, you have the potential to run out Banks 6'4", Nayor 6'3". I suppose in some sets you could have Malachi Coleman out there at 6'2", right? And then, I mean, even Jaden Doss is sort of he's not a real small slot like sometimes they've had in the past. I'm talking about Billy Kemp. I'm talking about Spielman. I'm talking about Wandale. Those are little guys. I mean, and then we saw other little guys.
Well, Jalen Lloyd's
pretty little guy. And go back to the Frost era. There was a lot of little guys. I mean, just little receivers. Look at number 80 there, Sean. That's not a little receiver. The look of that room has changed. It needed to change.
Because, in a Big Ten game, you're going to have a rare situation where a Trey Palmer or Jalen Lloyd can just run by you. That might only happen once or twice a game. You're going to have a lot more 50-50 balls, kind of physical, hand fighting situations where you better be well equipped.
But I want to say that I like that young group of guys they got. I think this is a good mix. You have guys like Jalen Lloyd, Malachi coming on, and Jaden Doss, and even something like Bryce Turner maybe, or who else, Sean? There's some young guys that can really fly, and it looked pretty good last year. And now you add this veteran mix, and I think it could be very helpful.
Yeah, I don't think they were just ready to hand the keys over to that young group yet. Like that's why Nayor and Banks were critical to give that younger group one more year of good seasoning before then they take over.
Yeah, 100 now.
Oh, I got 100.
Yeah, you got 100. And I'll tell you what, remember, it's the thing that I will always think back on with Nayor and Banks is I always just figured they'd get one. They'd get either one of them. When they got both, it really opened my eyes. The other thing to watch going forward is, and we haven't talked a lot about this, but now you've made it pretty clear that who you think the starting quarterback would be. Dylan Raiola, as you would say. Raiola. The thing about Dylan is, he loves the tight end. So watch that position. I think it will grow in prominence if indeed Dylan is the quarterback. He likes going to tight ends. So those guys should be really, really excited. And I'm talking about Fedoni and Borkacher, and then incoming, of course, Carter Nelson.
When I asked Matt Rule this too about quarterbacks, they only have 3 scholarship quarterbacks.
Yes.
And look, it's not the ideal number, but Matt Rule said it's pretty much the number he's always had everywhere he's gone. And last spring, and I don't know if this is for sure a record, but it has to be close to a record because you can't have much more than 6 scholarship quarterbacks. Well, Nebraska had 6 of them on spring ball.
It's a lot. Now, he made a great point yesterday to you. In the spring, it makes a lot of sense just to have the 3 because they're all young guys. Now, I get it. Heinrich Harburg is a 4th-year junior, but he's 20 years old. He's still developing. Then the other guys are true freshmen, Dylan and Danny Kalin. A lot of reps in the spring will be helpful. A lot of reps for those 3 young guys. And then he told you, right, that there's the possibility maybe in the summer to add another quarterback. And that sort of strategy makes sense to me.
And the advancement of these quarterbacks too, they're young in age, but not like in how they know the position. I mean, Daniel Kalin and Dylan Raiola are trained up.
Yeah,
this is not Kurt Dukes early enrolling to Nebraska in 2002. I mean, this is not.
No, it's not.
Jamal Lord coming, where you're really a raw athlete just learning the position. These guys know the position at a high level for their age. And then hopefully now Glenn Thomas can get them better.
Right. And the other part of it is it's intangible. You've talked to Daniel Kalin a lot. He's very mature. I've talked to him. It's not like you're talking to a kid. Dylan's sure not like that. I mean, Dylan's like a 25-year-old. He's just advanced. He's advanced in a lot of ways, and so is Danny Kalin. I mean, we sometimes get so caught up in the Dylan Raiola conversation, but Daniel Kalin is a mature individual, and he'll attack his work like he attacked the recruiting part of it. He took that scholarship job on as a job. I mean, he attacked recruiting like he comes down when he doesn't have to. Things like that. He did come down.
He's got an extremely high IQ too. At the
one of the highest.
At the Elite 11, he had one of the. They do a special IQ test for quarterbacks there, and he scored as high as anybody.
Right. Yeah. So they are young. They are young guys, but they comport themselves differently. So that helps.
He doesn't have the arm that Dylan Raiola has, but very few in the country or the world do. I mean, he's got one of the strongest arms we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to somebody over at Nebraska, and they said as far as getting out of a guy's hand, like Raiola is as good as you'll see, and he's ever seen. And I agree with that. I mean,
well, you saw him up close, very up close in Honolulu during those Polynesian Bowl practices. Yeah, I mean, you don't worry about arm strength. You don't worry about too much at all. It comes down to how well he reads, what is
protections.
Protection, and how's his decision making, because he's got all those other elements. But man, I'm gonna tell you, Sean, the decision making, reading defenses part isn't easy. That's not easy. Defenses are more complex than they've ever been. They don't tackle the best. It's not that. That's not what defenses do best anymore. But they know where to be. They're going for the ball, and they know where the ball's going a lot of the time. So you have to be very smart.
The pre-snap reading. One thing too we don't know about quarterbacks is will they have the technology in their helmet now?
Sounds like it's going that way.
Like for next season.
Yeah.
To avoid this looking back and forth game.
Right. Now, yeah, pre-snap is important. I think post-snap is what is going to define a lot of guys.
Well, and the Michigan sign stealing thing, if anything, hopefully that expedites this helmet technology so we can just eliminate the discussion of sign stealing.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. But anyway, yeah, the quarterback discussion is important. The receiver discussion is important. I think Nebraska did pretty good just generally speaking with the class. I mean,
The secondary has like 10 bodies.
has 10, as we mentioned.
I mean, they signed a basketball team in the secondary. I mean, that's a lot of guys. I mean, you think about it.
They do.
10?
Yeah, they play a lot of guys. They did this year. And some of those guys may end up on the offensive side too. So yeah, it's interesting the way they operate. But Matt Rule said yesterday he does not get into identifying numbers that way. He's just taking best players
And then let it sort itself out.
Yeah.